Now we're going to Mariana Martins is going to present a project in the same, following the academic project we have been presenting now. Mariana is going to present academic research that is a dissertation for the Master degree in Conservation, Restoration and Contemporary Art. Mariana was born in 1999, has a degree in sculpture, is specialized in conservation restoration, and a master in conservation. The title of the presentation is The Study of Chips and Model of the Statue of the Sousa Martins.
Good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, it's an honor to be here today to share with you my thesis project. This project consists in study, analysis, conservation, and restoration of the original plaster model of Dr. Sousa Martins, made by the sculptor Aleixo Queiróz Ribeiro. So in this slide, we can see the original and only plaster model that was used to make the bronze statue. This bronze statue no longer exists because it was destroyed. So the plaster model became unique. The plaster, in this case, is not just a transitory material, but becomes the only physical element in this work. The plaster model belongs to the Military Museum of Lisbon because it was made in Army Arsenal Foundry. Because of their condition, the plaster was never exposed, having always been stored. So now I'm going to talk about this important figure in the plaster model, Dr. Sousa Martins. Sousa Martins was a Portuguese doctor and teacher at the Medical Surgical School of Lisbon. He worked intensely, especially in the fight against tuberculosis, and helped many sick people, in most cases for free. People believe he did miracles, so after he died, people turned him into a religion saint. The sculpture of the statue is Aleixo Queiróz Ribeiro. In addition to being a sculptor, he was also a diplomat and a Portuguese aristocrat. Now let's go back a little bit to understand why the bronze statue was destroyed. So on March 7, 1900, the statue was inaugurated in Campo Martins da Pátria in Lisbon. But the population and the media did not approve that such an important figure had represented sitting in a simple chair. So after much criticism, the sculpture was removed and melted down. A few years later, the sculptor Aleixo Costa Mota made a second proposal, but this time Dr. Sousa Martins was standing on top of the monument. So here we can see the second sculpture that remains to these days. His figure assumed contours of sand, so people leave candles, flowers, and gravestones around the monument. The monument, besides representing an important figure, is also a place of food, where people pray or give thanks for cure of diseases. Although the first proposal was destroyed, the plaster model was kept in a warehouse of the Military Museum of Lisbon without conservation. But at this moment, the plaster model is already here in the Faculty of Fine Arts. Here we can see some photos of the day the sculpture was transported and arrived at the faculty with help of some military. In the first contact with the plaster model, a detailed observation is made to be able to evaluate the state of conservation. In this way, the sculpture was quite degraded and with many pathologies, which is normal since the plaster model was for many years in preservation. The first visible problem in the model is the lack of some elements. Some elements have been lost, so we don't know your location, but others are just fractured and just need to be glued together. All over the model, we can see the position and a yellow ink, which makes it impossible to see the original plaster. The plaster model has no arms and it is a gap because we don't know your location. Some areas have biological colonization caused by humidity and dirt deposition. In the head, we can see there are fractured elements that need to be glued, areas with lack of head stake, oxidation of the metal, structure, and all odorization in the hair area. Before any intervention, it is necessary to submit the work under study to perform examination and analysis methods. For these exams, I had the privilege of working with Mafalda Cardeira, making my project an interdisciplinary project where physics and chemistry works with conservation and restoration. So the first examination was performed using a light digital microscope. The observation was made with infrared light and fluorescence photography caused by ultraviolet radiation. In this case, the elements that flourish are shellac used as a release agent to make the bronze. The second examination was the X-ray fluorescence spectrometry that allowed the identification of the elements of the periodic table on zones with ink. This exam served to understand what is and what is not original. My work focuses mainly on giving life to this placer model again. So right now, I'm restoring the model. The intervention methodology is guided by 4 main points: return physical integrity and artistic value to the placer model, respect the original and send the work as much as possible, maintain the historical and constituent information of the piece and lastly, the principle of reversibility will be respected through the use of materials and techniques. In these photos, we can see the contrast of what is clean and what is not. In the image on the left, I'm removing the yellow ink with a scalpel. It is a delicate process and requires a lot of patience and concentration. As you can see, this is a work in progress, but in a few months, I hope to be able to show the final results. Finally, I want to thank my teacher and master's advisor, Marta Frade, for handing me this great project. I also want to thank my master's co-supervisor, Ricardo Lopes from the Military Museum of Lisbon, and thank you for your attention.